Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And we have a special guest today. It is Amye Archer. Hello from Middle. Well, this will be the first
From
break.
Middle Earth.
I'm from Middle Earth.
Thanks for coming. Sometimes I feel like I'm from Middle Earth.
It's been a journey, but we're glad you're here. From Little Miss Recap. I apologize.
Little Miss Recap. And I'm the writer. I'll just throw a writing perspective in. Because I do have some writing notes around this documentary.
Ah, okay. Great. Mm-hmm. So today we are talking about the Netflix documentary American Nightmare. All I can say is that's all I was thinking throughout this. This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. This is an American nightmare. And
yeah, pretty much nailed it with that title.
So they did a great job with that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to dive into it. But does anyone have any initial thoughts or feelings? Because this I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say this happened in our backyard.
Yes.
We live 20, 30 minutes from Vallejo. I don't remember this story at all.
Neither do I.
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah. I mean, they're showing all the Bay Area local TV stations, and I'm like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new story to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really watch local news, and a lot of it was this local news, and I don't read the SF Chronicle. Because who gets the Chronicle anymore? But yeah, I don't remember this at all, but it seems like it was a huge news story because we see Anderson Cooper, we see the Today Show, went national.
What year was this? 2015?
2015, yeah.
Well, I mean, we were in the middle of a nightmare political run.
That is true.
So, we were all kind of distracted by that nightmare. I don't remember it, but I will say that I am obsessed with California. I want to live there. I'm so jealous that you two do. Mm-hmm. I just feel like there's the have and the have-nots. And I'm not talking money. I'm talking about just quality of life. And I was obsessed with this part of California. Can you tell me where it is? Is it north of LA? It's north of LA, right?
Yeah. So it's here in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. And so, San Francisco is a peninsula. And so everything's divided by bays. So North Bay is Marin County. And South Bay, which is Silicon Valley, that's where Palo Alto, Mountain View, which are two places that come up. And then Brooke and I, we live in the East Bay because our mother's in Berkeley. So, and so Vallejo it's north of the East Bay. It's sort of northeast. Okay. I know it because when we would go to our grandmother's house in Napa, we would go through Vallejo.
Yeah.
Okay. I had never heard of Mare Island, though. That I didn't even know that existed.
Is it like an affluent area? Like, is there money there?
No. Actually, Vallejo proper is very sketchy.
Yes.
But this place, Mare Island, it's kind of a little enclave. There's like a little bridge that takes you from Vallejo onto Mare Island, which was a former naval base.
Okay.
And it's been developed, it's been sold off to private investors and developed. And, you saw they had cute little houses. And
I know. I was immediately putting it on my list of retirement communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Vallejo itself, I mean, I remember my husband and son would drive out there because there's a Dairy Queen, but they would eat the ice cream in their car because they were like, oh, we're so disturbed. We just we're scared. So yeah, Vallejo's not to put down anyone from Vallejo, but it's not the most affluent area. I mean, certainly Palo Alto, Mountain View, those areas just with Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's not an area that you would think of per se.
I think part of my obsession with California is just that I just feel like the sun is there a lot more than it is here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Pennsylvania, and
the weather's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the weather's not great. It's currently sleet icing out there.
Oh gosh. No, I mean, listen, that you can't beat the weather, even when it gets really hot some days, and such. It's we're not digging ourselves out of snow, and and the politics and the way of life and what we have here, but it is just annoyingly expensive because my husband and I together, we make a lot of money and we're broke. I can't even tell you how poor we are, because the sad thing is, in order to, as a family, if you're a family of 3 or 4 here, if you're not making at least $200,000 a year, it's hard, and that's what really sucks.
Well, and that's why, to get back to the documentary, that's why I thought it was an affluent area, because these guys just seemed to have really good careers and be a little well off. So I thought maybe that was, like we call it in Scranton, the fancy part. We have the Hollywood section of Greenridge, which is the fancy part of Scranton.
Yeah. Well, and I think that probably is a desirable area to live, right? Yeah. So I would think that, I don't know where she was from, Huntington Beach, but I think maybe his family was more local. So, you've got, as we said, we would go up there to go up to Napa, and a lot of the areas in and around Napa have been developed. There's American Canyon was an area that was, nothing for a long time, and now people are buying and building. So I don't know if he owned that house or not, but if I was like a young person and I have this established job, I would think that a home on Mare Island would be affordable. Yeah, so I think that's why a lot of people went there. And there's little pockets of areas that, are,
Now that we have the demographics and geography out of
down pat.
Yeah.
All right. So this American Nightmare is broken up into 3 parts. So part 1 is called The Boyfriend. We get the boyfriend Aaron Quinn's perspective and what's happening. The second one is called Gone Girl, which is Denise Huskins. She is the other victim in this. That's her perspective. And then part 3 is The Others, which is, oh, this guy's done this before. And hey.
I want to say that Gone Girl, the novel, is broken up similarly, right?
Gosh, I did read it when it came out.
I think it's broken up in 3 parts like that.
It is? Okay. I didn't realize that. I do wonder, I mean, Gone Girl is a really good book, and I saw the movie as well. But I do wonder if this author feels like, oh God, what did I do?
Right.
What did I do? Because
this is not my idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how often I feel like people have said, oh, this is a Gone Girl thing. This is a Gone Girl thing.
Well, that's been happening for ages. Don't forget, Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger was inspiring people to murder famous people. So, it's been happening for a long time that people just hijack art.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, she also wrote, what was it? Sharp Objects. She wrote a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Was really
that's
good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's a great author. But when you're in law enforcement, you probably shouldn't use media or books or arts to tell you where a case is going to go. Right. I mean, I think that's you learn that on day 1.
You let the crime scene speak to you.
Yes.
You don't direct it. Yeah.
So, this opens up. It's March 23rd, 2015. It's 1:53 in the morning, and we hear this 911 call, and it's Aaron Quinn calling and saying, someone came into my house, tied myself and my girlfriend up. They took my girlfriend, Denise, and, they want a ransom. Help me. And we find out that according to Aaron, they're both asleep and they get woken up in the middle of the night, which hands down, I think is the scariest thing that could ever happen.
I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine that happening. Like, that is just terror in itself. Like, when we get to the end, when they're talking about the other women he's done this to, but didn't, go through with the actual crime or whatever.
Yeah.
Still being woken up in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Is completely dramatic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did they never talked about how he got in or how they wouldn't have heard him? Or...
Probably glass sliding door. It's always the glass sliding door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I do wonder, and I also wonder with places like Mare Island, like, do they lock the doors? Are they locking every window? Do they have security systems? I mean, I don't know. He was ex-military. I think he probably figured it out. Or all you need to do is like smash a window a little bit. And I don't know.
What was your first impression of Aaron?
Well, obviously from the 911 call, and I think this is why they were a little suspicious, is he seems really mellow, like, hey, what's up? I just woke up. And so, and obviously it's from the sedatives on both ends, right? Mm-hmm. The sedatives play a big part in this, and how that made people think, like, is this real? Is this really happening?
Yeah,
so what was your
detached?
Yeah, very detached. That's
well, let me drag down the quality of your podcast for a second. Did you think he was hot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're both very attractive. He's cute.
Right? I was like, he's really cute.
Yeah.
He's cute. I don't know about hot. That's a strong word.
Well, but hold on. He was captain of the football team. I mean, this guy, I think, has broken a lot of hearts.
Oh, Ernie Jamie would not like him, though. He has to have long hair, drug problem, no job. But like current day, I would. Yeah. He was very cute. But I love the way this is structured, because I do feel like I did not believe him at first. I was seeing it through the eyes of the police. I admit that I did. And, it turned, obviously. But when we first meet him, I think, wow, he's calm. He's like, I was suspicious. Sketchy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I already knew a bit about where the story was going. And that's honestly the fact that I knew what the ending was what got me through it. Okay. Knowing that there was light at the end of this tunnel. But Brooke, did you know what the story was prior to?
Well, no, I mean, I never, like I said, I don't remember this ever happening, but, I had read enough to know that it was a hoax. They were being accused of, that it was a hoax, and it really wasn't. So I knew that. I knew it was going to end up where it ended up.
Yeah. So, he tells them this incredible story, which is that they were woken up. There were laser dots pointed at them. They were told to lie face down. He was tied up with zip ties. He put swim goggles on them that were blacked out by duct tape, and then put headphones over them where they hear these sounds of wind chimes. So sort of isolating them. And so we can already see that the officers are immediately negative, asking questions about, did you have wine last night? Did you do drugs? And he's trying to explain to them, well, yeah, I was given this thing to drink. This is what's going on. And they took his blood, his DNA, they took his clothes. And then we meet the person that I hate more in the world.
Colonel Mustard. Colonel Mustard, I'm calling him, because he has as much investigative prowess as Colonel Mustard from the Clue game.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Well, and there were so many things that, Aaron talked about that kind of never came up again. Like, and initially he was talking like there were two people that came in, and they were in wetsuits. And as far as I can tell, they only focused on the one guy. I don't think there were two people.
I think he was saying there were more than one, but it was only him. But I think
he was like disoriented. But also the guy, he carried around this blow up doll.
Yeah.
So maybe he brought the blow up doll in to make it seem like there was more than one.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to give Aaron the impression that there were more than one. And that could be from, we learned later that one dad kicked the shit out of him when he was trying to get to his daughter. So like maybe he's now, because we see he's progressing and adjusting his plan as he goes further and further. So maybe now he's like, I have to make it seem like there's a bunch of us, so nobody tries to do something.
Well, and you use the word they, right? They, them, my associates, that, you're so disoriented. What else are you going to believe?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so crazy. But yes, we meet Matt with one T, Mustard, the investigator, who says,
Can I curse?
mean, again, yes, of course.
Fuck you, Matt Mustard.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. He didn't do any investigating.
Let's put
it that way. I mean, the way that he interrogated this guy was ridiculous. It was like, first of all, he tells him, well, we're treating you as a victim. We don't think you're a suspect. While he's not free to leave, he's in jail clothes. I guess his clothes were, I don't know.
Taken for evidence.
Yeah, probably. So they put him in jail clothes. He's in one of these interrogation rooms. He's, he's being interrogated.
Yes.
And, there's no, finally at one point he says, well, I think I need a lawyer. They don't give him his Miranda rights, nothing. And then Matt gets really pissed off because he just throws a wrench in his plan. And he just sits him down and basically tells him, you did this.
Yes.
And he says, like, we have to make, like, I'm trying to figure out how you're a monster now, or something to that effect. I was like,
and this goes back to my question about these interrogation techniques that we see over and over again in these shows. Like, this seems to be the one technique that the police have, which is, you did it. You did it. You did
on the school ground.
And the person goes, no, I didn't do it. Yes, you did it. And they just keep saying it, or they do that whole thing where it's, be a good guy here. You're going to shame your family if you don't admit this and tell us what happened. And obviously, thank God, Aaron's not a 16-year-old kid, because he was smart enough to know, this is going sideways. But also you have to think about it, he's still under these sedatives. Like, you can see from the interrogation as time went on, like, he got a little bit sharper and sharper and more aware and more awake and more all of those things. But he's not a big kind of hyper person. Do you know what I mean? No. He's not someone who's going to get in your face and say, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. So that combination of the sedative and his general personality made him seem like he was just like, hey, this is this. So he tells them more problems, which is that, they have, these people have wetsuits. And one of the things that was said was what Mueller, who we later find out is the, perpetrator, that this was meant for Andrea. And we learned that Aaron had an ex-fiance named Andrea, and things were a little complicated because it seems like Denise, Aaron, and Andrea all worked at the same hospital. They're all physical therapists. Aaron and Andrea were engaged. They break up. Aaron starts dating Denise, but during that time, Aaron has been texting, Andrea, like, hey, maybe we can get back together, like being very wishy-washy. Yes. And it just so happened, the timing's horrible. It just so happened that night was the night where Denise came over to Aaron's house and they have this conversation. It was like, listen, you what are we doing here? And he says, I love you. I want to be with you. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, but now we have this very interesting motive.
Yes.
This very interesting, like, there's some weird thing going on, and maybe he's mad. Is he mad? Does he want Denise to be gone so he can focus on Andrea? So they're starting to put together a story.
There are two moments in the documentary that were pivotal for me in believing their story. And the first one was this. I felt like he really came forward with something that would be very incriminating for him, but he was very forthright with it.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, we had 4 drinks and something like 4 beers and a martini. I was like, whoa. And then they, he's like, she found out I was, messaging my ex-girlfriend. But then I'm like, where's the camera at that workplace? That's the reality show we all need. Like, could you imagine the drama happening in this rehab wing?
Oh yeah, no, this is good stuff going on here, and that's why I think Aaron's kind of a babe, right? Like I think Aaron's sort of the hottest ticket in the physical therapy.
Well, and then they bring Andrea in to be questioned, and
yes,
she's just kind of like, "Why am I here? Like what?" And I don't know what they were. I guess they're trying to get something out of her, but there's nothing. They're going down all these dead end roads.
Yes. So the big thing is that Aaron was, before he called the police, and this is again something else that made him look very suspect, is they told him the kidnappers call him and say, we want $15,000. And Aaron calls, I guess, his bank or his credit card and saying, how much of an advance can I get? And he finds out I can get $3,500. He texts that back. Hey, I can get $3,500. And then he's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the kidnappers to come back to him. And they had told him that we have a camera, and he sees the camera in his house. We have a camera watching you. And if you go to the police, then we will harm Denise. So he's caught in this bizarre thing and finally he's like, well, I'm going to, why wouldn't I call the cops at this point? Why not, go to them? Because his brother's in law enforcement, the cops are your friends. That's where you're supposed to go. So immediately the media is all over this, and we meet Henry Lee, who's from the San Francisco Chronicle, and he's been on the crime beat for 29 years. And
he can't even get out of his car.
No.
He's just like, I'm so busy. Just hop in the passenger side and we'll just talk about it here.
No, they never let him out of the car, ever. We're like, we're not going to pay for a place for you to meet, so let's just get in the car. We immediately see very quickly the Vallejo police have their first conference of saying, well, this is what's happened. This is who's been kidnapped. This is what's going on. And so we get, I have so many notes, so I don't want to go through everything. But let's see. Oh, so basically we learn a little bit more about the story with the ex-fiance. I guess in 2014, Andrea was cheating on him. It wrecked him. So Aaron was in this weird place where he was open to getting back together, but he was very confused. And so Henry Lee tells us, well, you know what? Everyone thinks that Aaron killed her. Right. And the body is just going to show up that because the comforter was gone, the sheets were gone. So and everyone rolls a dead body in a comforter. Right. So they thought, OK, Aaron rolled her in a dead body and we're going to find her. And this is how the story's going to end.
Oh, yeah. Everybody just there was no investigation.
Zero. We learned that later.
Because I'm wondering, like, why are they not trying to get DNA out of this apartment?
Right.
No, they took DNA from Aaron, but no. And so. They have Aaron take a lie detector test. Now, this is 4:33 a.m. So he's been up 24 hours. All of this stuff has happened. He takes a lie detector test by the FBI. They tell him, you failed miserably. And that's when he was like, I need a lawyer.
But he didn't fail miserably. Like, the results were inconclusive or something. Yep. But see, this is another thing that's so disturbing about law enforcement and stuff. So basically, the police can lie to you as much as they want to. It's not against the law for them to lie to you. They could tell you that, they have evidence they don't have. But if you lie to the police, not so much in state court, but like if it's a federal case, you lie to federal agents, federal prosecutors, whatever, that is a crime in and of itself. And then you can go to be sentenced to prison for that separately,
Yes.
What Martha Stewart went to prison for, was just lying to, So it's so unfair, their tactics and the way that they talk to people who are in custody and treat people who are in custody. It's just painful to watch the way they treated this guy.
And what's so frightening about this is if we saw this in 1985, I would be like, oh, wow, yeah.
Same.
But this is 2015, not so long ago, the Bay Area is a pretty, woke place. And here we are still with the same issues over and over again, with police lying to suspects, making them think they did something they didn't do. I mean, we have not at all confirmation bias. Have we not grown at all as a country of thinking about things differently? We see this across the world of everything changing. And I'm like, why hasn't the police caught up to us here? Because it's awful.
Well, and part of the problem too, to speak to what you just said, is, in 1975 and 1980 and 1985, this is all they had. They didn't have the sophisticated DNA stuff they have today to solve these crimes. They pretty much had to get a confession out of people.
Yes.
But now, why didn't they just go in this house and swap for DNA? Mm-hmm. And they would see unknown male DNA all over the place, on the camera, on the doorknobs, everywhere. I'm sure he wore gloves, but there's DNA there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised why they're still relying on these archaic techniques for this.
They were so lazy. And that comes back to another question I had, which is, okay, I'm the Vallejo police. This guy comes in. Okay, this is a weird story and this guy seems mellow. Why don't you have two teams? One team that stays with Aaron and try to figure out what's going on there. But you have a second team that goes out and actually investigates the crime and sees if is this possible.
And tries to find this missing girl.
Yes, because if you think her body's somewhere, go find it.
No one's even trying to start a search for her.
No,
they were literally, like you said, they're waiting for the dead body to show up somewhere.
Yeah. They're not doing anything.
They were not trying to find her. I mean, it was disgusting. And then the most disgusting thing is when Matt Mustard says that sometimes people... Okay, sometimes
I have this. No, I wrote this down.
Do it word for word.
Okay. So we learn that... Denise's family is called in, and of course... And so Denise's mother meets with Matt Mustard, and her mother is describing this to us, and they're like, is there anything we can, tell us everything you can about Denise? And so she says, I remember that, I told them that Denise had been molested as a child. And Matt Mustard says that often when women are assaulted, they like to then pretend to have it happen again so they can relive the thrill of it. Where's that shame bell, Amy? Where's the shame bell?
Tess, you're a therapist. Is this a common reaction to sexual assault?
Fuck no, Matt Mustard.
What the hell,
fuck
dude?
You. And again, it's hearsay, right? Because it's through Denise's mom. We didn't hear these words from Matt, but I feel like Denise's mom probably kept that in the back.
I feel like as a mom, you really remember that.
No, that is absolutely not true. It is, I've worked with so many women who have been assaulted. And what's really frightening as we learn more about Denise's story and her history. And the third part is,
I know,
I've worked with a lot of young women in their 20s, and I cannot tell you how many of them have had some sort of incident, whether it's a date rape or being roofied or my boyfriend raped me. And then, I didn't know what else to do. Story after story after story. And I don't think of any of my clients that any of it was ever reported. Ever.
Well, I will tell you, and I talk about this a lot. I was sexually assaulted when I was 13. And the second part of the pivotal moment for me in this documentary, when I believed her pretty early on, let's just say that, was when she described disassociating during the rape. And that's something that if it's happened to you, you understand that, but you also hear that a lot from rape victims. So even if you were not a victim yourself, that is a common thing that people talk about, that dissociation. And the minute she said that, I was like, this is real. This is 100% real. It's disgusting. This man is disgusting. Colonel Mustard, I hate him. He's on the trash.
Yeah, he is definitely a problematic historical figure.
Yes, he is.
I wouldn't dignify him with
what historical. I don't know where we put him.
He's problematic.
He's problematic.
Yeah.
Very problematic. So, thank God. And I will say this is another thing too, was because they had, they were all able, both Denise and Aaron were able to hire really good attorneys. And this is another thing that I think that is really important. If these two had no family support, no money, had to get a public defender, I don't think that, I wonder where they would be. Because Yeah, because Aaron's family hires Dan Russo and Amy Morton. I love Amy Morton. And he gets woken up. Dan's like, I've never seen anything like this. I don't know what's going on. But Denise has been missing for 18 hours. So what are we doing here?
Right. Where is she?
Yeah. And so poor Aaron thought the police were going to start a manhunt to look for her. And, and that's when Amy starts recording conversations because she's like, they don't believe him. They don't think that this is right. So, let's see. So now it's 12:24. Denise has now been missing for 31 hours. And Henry Lee gets an audio message from Denise. And the thing is that it basically says, hi, I'm Denise Huskins. I've been kidnapped. My first concert was Blink-182, a plane crash in the Alps. So basically, like, this is me. I'm real. And this is present day. And so Henry sends that to the Vallejo Police Department and doesn't hear much back. But the other thing is that because she was sedated as well, she sounds really mellow in this. Like, hi, this is Denise Huskins.
Yep.
So they immediately go, well, she doesn't seem stressed, so she must be lying. And then let's see. So they keep grilling Aaron, and this is when it's recorded. Did she scream? Is Denise behind this? And at 9:09 a.m. on 2 days after the event, Denise's dad gets a message from her, and we see this video of her walking over to her home in Huntington Beach, her family home in Huntington Beach, that Denise has been released.
Now, this is 400 miles away from Vallejo.
And she is just kind of like strolling up to the door. Like, there's no running, there's no,
And she has a giant bag of stuff. Yeah, like, what's all that stuff? That was never explained.
She had a backpack and a bag. Yeah. And it's like, what did he take you shopping before he dropped you off?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you have in these bags?
It's so weird. And I think we later hear from her, I think she was so disoriented and so like, what is happening and where am I? But yes, when you look at that video of her, it does look like she's just walking down the street, heading home.
She's got the oversized hoodie on. I was looking for the Dunkin' cup. It just seemed like very very casual. And so I could see why people saw that and were like,
So what does the Vallejo police do? Do they, I don't know, question Denise or do any investigating? No, they hold a conference 12 hours after she's been released. And no family members talk to them, basically saying that we are very upset. They have taken resources away from Vallejo police and our community. And, we're going to investigate this and there may be further.
Yeah, they basically say they think it's a hoax.
The impetus for that, though, was they tried to talk to her and she wouldn't talk to them at first. But that was because the kidnappers had threatened to release the tape of her. So she didn't want to talk to them. And then she got the lawyer. So that's what they're seeing. But we know the real reason.
Well, and she's very scared. Yeah.
She's very scared. She's out of it. She's...
So that's the end of part 1. And then part 2 starts, which is Gone Girl. And then, is this where we see Nancy Grace? And I'm like, oh, fuck you.
God.
Another one.
The sight of her just makes my skin crawl.
How does that woman sleep at night? I mean, she is awful. And do any of these, this will come later, but I'm just like, do any of these people ever stop and decide, like, gosh, I got that wrong, so I'm going to admit that I got it wrong? It's like, no. Just going to brush it.
No, just keep going.
So we hear, now this is Denise's side, and we hear that, it's 5 a.m. They get woken up, goggles, very similar, very similar story.
Exactly. Never change.
So she is put in one car and then she's then put into another car, which she believes sounds like an old car, like an old Mustang, but the sedatives start, kicking in. So she's out. So she wakes up and she feels like she says it's like, it's light. And then all of a sudden my legs get pulled and it's dark again. And the kidnappers say, well, we need to get you ready now. And she's thinking, ready for what? And she hears scrubbing and duct tape. And she hears the kidnapper say, this wasn't meant for you. This was meant for Andrea. And she's just like, what the what? And he tells her this crazy story that they're black market, kidnap, and they kidnap for money. And Aaron has the instructions, and then she passes out again. So, and she says, he takes her on these routine bathroom breaks. He tells her about his life. I'm ex-military. I have trouble sleeping. And then finally goes to her and says, we have a problem. They won't believe, we're worried that you're going to go to the police. So one of us will have to have sex with you, and it's going to be recorded. And if you speak to the police, it will go on the internet. And, this is where she talks about being detached and what happened. I love this. We're going to have sex with you. I'm sorry. This is not sex.
I can't. I know a lot of these criminals who perpetrate these crimes, there is no logical motive, but I can't understand what is happening here. What did he just want to rape her and send her back? Why did he return? She's very lucky that he returned her.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could have easily gone another way, but
and I think that if he wasn't caught, I think that's where it was going.
Oh, eventually.
Basically.
Yeah. But what is he doing?
It's almost like he's obviously very disturbed, but it's almost like he's carrying out a mission. He believes that he needs to do this. And, just the way that he, talks and just all the things that he's doing. It's like, he's on some military mission or something, and I must do this and I have to do that.
Yeah, I didn't do a deep dive on him, and I don't know how much information is out there on the internet about him. I mean, it is a very bizarre tale, because you see him and he's kind of like an average looking white guy, and he went to Harvard Law School. He's ex-military, ex-Marine. You would think someone like this, what happened here? And this is one of the things where I don't know. I don't know if did something, he claimed that he had PTSD from being in the military,
which is very possible.
Yes. But I don't know. I think I feel like it was all about him being smarter than the police.
Yeah. I think there's an element of that as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to create a situation where I am as protected as possible. You cannot find me, but I'm going to make it, and I'm going to do all these things so that you can't see me and you get confused and you're this and you're that, and I can control you by sedatives, but I'm going to make it so weird that people would never believe it.
Mm-hmm. And I think he also has this weird, I think he tells himself that he's a good guy, because later he's like, oh, I don't want to re-traumatize you, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. I think he has this weird image of himself that he's really a good guy, even though he's doing all of this.
Yes.
That he's a nice criminal. He's a nice rapist.
Yes. Because he talks about when he talks about these kidnappers, his associates, he's the nice one, right? He's the good cop.
Yeah.
That's his role in all of this.
Yep.
So I don't know if something happened during, his time in the military that, created this scenario in his head, or he has to keep reliving it over and over again. I don't know. It's truly bizarre. Yeah. So we're now 28 hours kidnapped. And she wakes up the next morning. She hears him cleaning. He tells her, I've lost contact with Aaron. He says his associates are coming, and he gives her more sedatives, and then tells her they aren't as nice as me. And so I think there's that part of it. Because so much of why people do these things is because these predators, they love fear. They want it. They like that fear in your eyes. They want you to be afraid. They want you to be scared. And I think it's almost this weird thing of I want you to be so scared, but I want you to think I'm the best part of I'm a good guy, and that I'm, this weird kind of love fear thing that he wants from women. I don't know.
I'm going to save you from this situation that I created.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's forget the I created part, and I'm just going to save you from this.
So he tells her we need to record a proof of life. He gives her the script, and she says, the sedatives are so strong, she can't talk or think. And then he goes to her again and says, well, the kidnapper, my associates don't believe that the first time we had sex was consensual. So now we need to have sex again, and I'm going to record it, and it needs to look consensual. And this is the moment in which she realized, like, I can't detach from this. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this. So there's wine. He puts like 2 glasses of wine, like they're on a date, 2 glasses of wine and these little bottles of booze. And so she drinks everything that she can. And he comes in and he says, "Oh, you started without me?" I'm like,
yeah, this is part of his, like, this is not rape narrative.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That he needs to tell himself.
And, you know, Denise says the line, "You're not going to break me." You're not going to break me. You know,
She's
I will get through
tough as
this.
fucking nails, man.
Yes,
I
she
would have been
is.
sobbing in a corner the entire time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, she's resolved that she's going to make it out of this alive.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's all that counts, really.
So we're now 40 hours kidnapped. The kidnapper shows her a news clip of her father. The father is like, "I'm looking, you know, please, you know, come home." And it all starts to feel overwhelming to her. She's like, this is really real. And then he says, "It's time to go home." And he puts her again, gives her a sedative, puts her in the car. And he says, "I can't." In the trunk. I can't take you to Vallejo because there's too much police. So I'm going to take you home to Huntington Beach. And he tells her, because Aaron went to the police, you will have to speak to the police at some point. So there are 2 things you can't say. Number 1, that I was in the military. And number 2, you can't say that we had sex. And he tells her, "We will always be watching you. If you say something, we'll come after not only you, but your family." And so we see her walking home. Her family isn't there. Obviously, they're out looking for her. She goes into the neighbors and the police show up. And the first person that she talks to, she's too afraid to tell him that you know, they ask her, "Have you been assaulted?" And she says no, because she's so scared. She doesn't know what's going to happen. And so then she gets this message about the Vallejo police that they're willing to give her, is it, Brooke, a proffer agreement for immunity?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, basically, like, you tell us all this stuff and we won't prosecute you.
So are they still, I'm like, are you still thinking that maybe Aaron did something?
Yeah, because why would they, if they think this is a hoax between the 2 of them, which they clearly, that's what they always thought. They thought, well, it'll be easier to prosecute Aaron maybe because
if she
looks
turns on him.
Yeah, she's a more sympathetic character.
What did they think? Like, I just kept racking my brain with, why did they think they would pull off this hoax? Like, what would they get out of this?
Yeah, what are they getting out of it? Nothing.
Well, but with the Gone Girl Association, right, in the book and in the movie, the whole thing was that that the main character was pissed because she felt like Ben Affleck, or the husband, was having an affair.
Ben Affleck wasn't in on it. Like, he didn't.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So the difference here is Aaron is supposedly in on it with her. So what are they getting?
I guess that's true. Yeah. Together, what are they getting?
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, I think that that's when people can jump to these places of, because unfortunately what happens is that the people that do lie, the hoax that do happen, they get publicized so much. Like across the globe, women are being assaulted constantly, but we all focus on that one woman who, lied for whatever the reason is. And I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm just saying that, like, I don't know, if 99.999% of the time it's true, then why don't we go with that?
Yeah. Let's go on that presumption.
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't we just, wasn't that what all the Me Too movement and all this stuff was about? I guess this is
this is pre-Me Too movement. If it's 2015. Yeah.
I said this the other day. I said, like, 1 or 2 women lie in a span of, 10 or 15 years. It's publicized. Now, we can never believe any women. But, like, men lie all the time. And it's like, of course, the man's right.
Yes, of course.
Well, yeah. And the other thing, too, I think it was her lawyer was pointing out that, she did then tell them that she was sexually assaulted. And the lawyer was saying, you need to get a rape kit done, immediately.
Yeah.
And the police were kind of stalling it, like they were, time is just ticking by and they're just like, well, no, we're going to talk to her some more. I mean, Yeah, I don't know I think the police at that point were just trying to save their ass. They're like, we got to make something out of this. We can't look like total, incompetent losers.
We got to save Matt Mustard's credibility here.
Yeah, because he's gonna get promoted next month.
Yes.
So we don't want this on his record.
Well, so the minute Denise hears about this immunity agreement, she hires an attorney, Doug Rappaport, and he tells her,
a fucking hero. I love him.
He is. He tells her, don't talk. You need to get up here to the Bay Area right now.
Yep.
And what she didn't realize was, while the time that she was kidnapped, all of a sudden she was like, I did not understand that there was a media storm. Like all she was focused on is, I got to get home. I got to get home. I got to get home. I got to survive. And then this is when the media starts going, is Denise a hoaxer? Is she a hoaxer? Is she a hoaxer?
Mm-hmm. This is where we see Nancy Grace, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe I just wrote that at the top because I'm like, oh, fuck you, Nancy Grace. I'm so sick of you.
Jesus.
But Doug realizes, Rappaport, the attorney, that the Vallejo police is throwing Denise under the bus. And she sits down and she tells Doug everything. And he says, I absolutely believe you. And that's where it comes into when he's saying, please, we need to, we need to get her a sexual assault exam right away. This needs to happen. And then we're back to Detective Mustard, where he interrogates her and he starts asking these questions like, why didn't you fight back?
Well,
why didn't you scream? What were you wearing? Your pajamas were way too alluring.
First he says, I'm really glad that you survived this. Thanks, dude. Thanks. Really glad that you survived
thanks
this.
to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, no thanks to you. And we learn after the fact, really no thanks to you, because you could have prevented some things.
Could you imagine, like, you're kidnapped, you're being raped, you're being held against your will, and nobody is looking for you?
Yeah, no one's doing a damn thing.
Yeah. And the thing is that if Mueller had killed Denise, Aaron would have spent the rest of his life in prison for this thing that he, didn't do. I mean,
especially if Aaron, like you said earlier, especially if he was like a young, poor kid, black kid, absolutely, he would have been in prison for the rest of his life. Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Psych Legal Pop will be right back after these messages.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellows wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. So, Rappaport, which I love, Rappaport very quickly is like, well, they're treating her like trash. They're awful to her. And he basically says, we cannot have Denise and Aaron talk to each other. They want to see each other, but we have to get these interrogations done. And, it's what Denise is saying is the Vallejo Police Department, there's no compassion. They're all business. They, and Rappaport walks out, I think, with someone from the FBI. And he's like, listen, what is going on here? Like, why aren't you investigating it? And the FBI guy's like, hey, you heard of Gone Girl? Let me tell you, because this is what we're basing everything on this book and movie.
Yes. His face is like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah. When did all these cops watch Gone Girl? I mean, are they all like Ben Affleck?
They were in a book. That was the book club.
The book club. Oh, okay. That was
the Vallejo Police Department. Yeah. They had all just read it at their meeting. And they're like, oh, wow, this could really happen. And so they're telling Rappaport's like, they're saying, hey, they're going to they're accusing her of lying to federal officers, which would be, anywhere from a year to 18 months. And she is she's a liar. Her face is splashed everywhere. She's being victimized yet again.
Yep.
But then, Aaron and Denise, they finally get to see each other, and she says to him, you don't need to stay with me because of this. And, all of this stuff. And he's like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And I thought that was really seeing Aaron's response to this, because I often wonder, being female, I don't know. I often wonder what it's like for a man to when your wife or partner is assaulted in that way, like what that's like for you.
This broke my heart. Like she is saying to him, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it, which shows us that she's feeling guilty for being raped.
Yes.
Okay, figure that out, it's a common reaction, but that's how fucked up rape is, right?
Yeah.
And second of all, when he couldn't even say the words, because he's like, they told me that she had to go for a rape, they called it a sexual assault response test or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said because she had been raped, and he starts crying. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like I felt, my heart just broke for both of them.
Yes. Because, in our society, right, men are supposed to be strong. They're supposed to be, they're supposed to protect, they're protectors. And I can't imagine what that's like for the man. Obviously, what was he supposed to do? He didn't know. There was nothing else for him to do. There was nothing else for Denise to do. But it's that feeling. They both feel guilty. They both feel like I've failed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And they're both very afraid. They don't know if these kidnappers are watching them. No one is protecting them.
It's insane.
No one. Mm-hmm. Not one person is protecting
They're like
them.
sleeping on people's couches, staying at their parents' house. Could you imagine? I would be terrified.
And they can't go. He's like, we can't go back to work. We don't even know if we'll ever get a job again. These careers, being a physical therapist is like, it takes a lot to get there and get to the other side, and a lot of schooling, a lot of work. And so you're finally, and they're all pretty young. So, they're 2 or 3 years into this career that they've been working towards. And it's over. You can never do that again. And so Henry Lee from the Chronicle, still in his car,
pulls over at a red light.
And he gets an email telling him that we're the kidnappers. And we don't like the fact that, that they're accusing Denise of this because we did it. And so Henry sends that to the Vallejo Police Department. No response.
Okay, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Henry, when you get no response, fucking go there.
Yeah.
Go there with the printed out emails.
Yeah.
Call
or go to
somebody.
The next higher up. Somebody. Yeah. Do something.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Print the emails in your paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do something.
Well, and the thing is it because he didn't want to upset the Vallejo Police Department? Because I would think that as a crime beat, right, you need to have good relationships with police departments. You need to be. Yeah. So maybe he's like, oh God, this is this weird thing where, and obviously because we learned from Henry, he's been doing this for almost 30 years, that this has never happened before. So I think I don't know, I can think in his mind that he might have thought, oh, they'll respond. Oh, okay. What do I do? I don't know. I
would at least do like a follow-up of here they are, hand them to a physical person. Mm-hmm. So they're not in a spam folder somewhere. Well, I would think they were in a spam folder.
Yeah.
It went to him. He's a journalist. He's sharing it with the police because, he wants to help with the investigation, but he should have just written about it.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just write about it and say, I turned this over to the police and haven't heard anything since? But he could have exposed them for all of this.
Yes. I don't know. Henry also, anybody in the media, they are also at fault at this. And I will many feelings about that. So Henry keeps getting emails and they're telling him, we are 3 acquaintances, 2 college graduates.
What did one didn't finish. Do?
But I love this. This is all being made up by this guy. And it's like, I'm going to make 2 college graduates. And this one went to a trade school. And we want, in 24 hours, we want an apology for Denise and Aaron because they didn't do it. We did. And that goes right into part 3, the others.
No, did
the
Henry
real
Lee share
heroes
that?
in part 3. The real
Yes,
heroes in
the
part
true
3.
yes.
Sorry, Brooke, go ahead. What were you
I was going to say, did Henry Lee share that with the police?
I don't know. I don't remember. Did
He's
he?
too
No.
busy. He's at the
He's in his
Jack in
car.
the Box drive-through. He doesn't know.
Right.
He doesn't have time for this.
He's got a deadline. He's got to meet.
Get some other crime beat, yeah. So we now are taken to June 5th, 2015. It's 10 weeks after Denise is released. And this is Dublin, which is 40 miles away. So Dublin is also in the East Bay. It's about 40 miles. So Dublin's like east of
Pleasanton.
but it's east of Berkeley, Oakland, right? It's directly east. So it's sort of southeast from Vallejo.
Suburbs.
Yeah.
Suburbs.
But it's also, again, a suburb of that's, again, now housing prices out there are ridiculous, but it's like
It's affluent.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It has built, but it's a bit of a mix because a lot of people have been out there for a long
I'm going
time.
to need your advice when I do my retirement move to California on what can a broke writer afford? Is there a house I can buy in California for $50,000? We'll start that.
No.
I might just be in a tent in your backyard. Who knows? Like Janelle style, I'll be in the teepee.
Yeah, in the RV.
Or a TP. Yeah.
Yeah. So we hear another 911 call. We hear about a home invasion robbery. A woman calls saying that her daughter is being kidnapped and the husband is fighting him off.
Okay, this is fantastic because in my mind, I'm picturing this, God forbid, happening in my home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Timmy's beating the shit out of the rapist, burglar, whatever. And I'm just standing there. Like, oh, hey, 911. He just took a punch. Oh my God, now he's bleeding all over the place. Get in there and help your husband beat the shit out of this guy. It was kind of funny. I just didn't know what the mother was doing.
Yeah, but the dad also a hero protecting his daughter. And his daughter, I want to say, she's a young adult. She's about 22.
She's 22,
right?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out her age based on the bedroom. I was like, this seems
the bedroom
very young.
looked like a 12-year-old.
There might be something more going on there. But and we're introduced to Sergeant Chris Shepard and the Dublin Police Department that somehow knows how to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Maybe they should go over to Vallejo and explain to them exactly how this policing thing works.
Yeah, Matt Mustard needs a retraining, I would say, at the very minimum.
Yeah. No, Colonel Mustard needs to be taken out back and beaten senselessly.
Mm-hmm. He needs to be murdered in the library with the rope. Oh, I didn't say that.
Yes.
I didn't say that. No one needs to be murdered.
But that's too good. That's too good for him. I want to put him where that guy from Twin Flames is going to go, Jeff. Into my slapping farm where you can go and you can pay to slap people that you cannot stand. And they just have to take it. Not punching, but just
I like
whacking
that.
them
It's
a
an
little
alternative to like the Smash Room. You just go in and slap people around. I like
people that deserve it.
Is Cody in there? Is Cody in there?
Probably.
Oh, totally.
The line's out the door for that one.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the most popular one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So they find zip ties, duct tape, and the big thing that he does, which is the most boneheaded move, but what really, in many ways, one of the things that helped them tremendously is he leaves his phone.
Oh God!
Wow.
So the daughter, who's almost kidnapped, is like, "Hey, he left his phone right here." So they take the phone, they go to the subscriber information and call the person and say, "Hi. Do you know whose phone this is?" And the woman's like, "Yes, I do. That's my son. It's his phone." And they go, "Great. Where is he?" He is up in South Lake Tahoe. Okay.
I'm just going to jump in with the pro tip. If you're a parent and a cop calls your phone, is like, whose phone is this? My kid's phone. They're calling from your kid's phone. Where are they? You might want to not say anything. You might want to be like, why you ask it?
Yeah. She gave them the address.
Thank God she did. But
yes,
that could have gone a variety of ways. Yes.
Yeah. So we learn this is Matthew Mueller. He's a former Marine, Harvard Law grad, and he has been, they start typing in some information that he's been a suspect in sexual batteries and attempted rapes in the past. Oh.
So would DNA have matched? Is his DNA in the system because he's been a suspect?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, if he was never prosecuted, if you have to
sometimes they can ask you though, right? If you
you have to get prosecuted and be on that national, sex offender registry for them to get your DNA.
Okay.
So he was just a suspect.
And
probably not in the system.
Yes. And this is where we meet the hero beyond Denise and Aaron, the true hero, and which gives me faith in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Sergeant Misty, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce her name. It's Carusu, Carausu. You deserve to have your name spelled out.
Of course, it takes a woman.
Yes, of course.
It takes a woman
Yes,
to
it does.
crack this case.
So Sergeant Misty, she's like, oh, this will be my first case as a detective. So Chris Shepard says, let's come along. He's there. And so we see the body cam video of them going into the cabin.
That was wild.
And he's there. And she says, when they arrest him, there's no emotions. He's quiet, composed, but the house is a mess. It's a stale smell. They're searching for things. They find more zip ties and duct tape and a toy gun that was painted black that had a laser attached to it. And I forgot to mention that when Henry Lee was getting all these messages from the kidnappers, they were sending photos. And one of the photos that they said was a gun with a laser on it. And they're like, this is interesting. What's this all about? And so she says she's there and she's like, the windows are covered. And she just felt like there was more to all of this. Like something else has happened here.
It was intuition. It was like a woman's intuition. Like something bad went down here. Yep.
And they find NyQuil, they find a syringe, and they find a stolen white Mustang. And they go into the GPS and it's all these different places. And they also find the blow-up doll with the torso.
I was like, is he using that to get in the carpool lane? Because he's driving a lot. Probably.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, because it's a haul from Huntington Beach to the Bay Area and back. Maybe. So, and then they find also a pair of goggles with duct tape. And in that pair of goggles, she finds a single strand of blonde hair. And she's like, what is this? What are the odds, A, that she would spot that, and B, that she would just be so, hell-bent on figuring out who that belongs to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because she knows whoever that hair belongs to, that's a victim.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then we go back, we hear a little bit about where Denise is at with this. She's lost. She's worried the kidnappers are going to come. She's also worried that she might be arrested herself. So if you can imagine what this is like, you've gone through this horrendously traumatic thing, but you cannot settle down into your life because you may be imprisoned or you may be killed again or kidnapped again. And she would go online to Facebook and people were writing the nasty, you phony fucking bitch, you
people
this, you that.
Are trash. This really enraged me. Like, just, again, you don't have to troll people. Do you know how much I hate Cody Brown? Do you know how much hatred for Cody Brown is in my body at any given moment? I never once have felt the urge to say it to him.
Yes.
Like, just bury that anger. Come on. Just push it down. Shove it down. You don't need to say it to people.
And
go
that's
to the slap room, slap some things.
Yeah. But I just feel like this is, I think, what's happened in the world that we live in today, where we have this platform with social media and everyone feels like my opinion is important.
Yes,
like what I have to say is important and I get a voice in all of this. Now, again, we're on a podcast sharing our opinions. I'm very aware of that, but I'm absolutely with you, which is the same thing. Like if I'm going to review a podcast, I'm only going to give good reviews. If I didn't like the podcast, I'm not going to review it that way.
Right.
Yeah. I just move on in my life.
Yeah.
Or unless I have something constructive to say or something that I think might be helpful to the person in some way, shape or form. Even then, I don't even think I do it. It's unbelievable that we have yet again convicted this woman and we still don't even know what all the facts are. We do not know what all the facts are.
Nope.
And I think the media plays a big part in this. And that's just what really bothers me is what's the responsibility of the media in all of this? Like, is this truly fair?
They labeled this whole thing as the Gone Girl. Every one of those news clips, they're like, Gone Girl, the Gone Girl case. They did that. Yeah. So it wasn't just the police saying that.
Yes. So, and that's the thing is that if they had covered this accurately, it would have been, she's been returned. They're investigating. We'll get back to you. Yes. But they wouldn't, they assumed all these things.
Yeah.
So, and then they also learn that the FBI agent that we meet earlier, David Sesma, used to date Andrea.
Oh
my God.
Come on.
And Rappaport is enraged. He writes a letter to the inspector general. Who is the inspector general anyway? Brooke?
The inspector general of the United States.
Well, he says, I write a letter to the inspector general telling them this is a problem. This is a problem. He should not be on this case. Well, and they tell him, we don't see it as an issue.
Sussman is in the FBI, so it's like the overseer of
his boss, basically.
All the FBI agents. Yeah.
And so he starts to go, oh my God, they don't care. Is this why evidence is being ignored? Is this why they're looking at Aaron and Denise? Like, did Sesma and Andrea put this all together? What is going on? So Misty, our hero, she gets back to the station and she's just like, I cannot leave this blonde hair thing alone. I can't do it. So she starts investigating Mueller. And she sees that he's a person of interest in a lot of different incidents. The first one being 2009 in Palo Alto. And we hear the story of this 32-year-old woman gets woken up. He forces her to drink NyQuil, puts surgical tape over her eyes, and he tells her that she's going to be raped. But then he changed his mind. Wait, sorry. He says, I'm going to assault you. She says, I've been raped before. Mm-hmm. Please don't do this. And he then changes his mind and leaves. And then 3 weeks earlier,
but she has brown hair. That's so she wasn't from that. Yeah.
So what is this? 3 weeks earlier, they stopped by Palo Alto police, couldn't find, to his case, no goggles. So Misty also went to the Palo Alto police, but she also could not find anything about the blonde hair. So we learned about Misty that prior to becoming a police officer, her girlfriend was sexually assaulted, and this is why she became a cop. So she wanted to be the voice of victims. So she starts working after hours, and getting more and more drawn into this case. And she learns also in 2009 in Mountain View, which is Mountain View's farther south than Palo Alto, that this woman, Tracy, again, gets woken up, same story, zip ties, drink something sleepy. And he says, bad news, I'm going to have to rape you. And she begs him not to do it. And he sighs and he says, I can't do this. I know this is going to mess you up for a while. You might want to get a dog.
Yeah.
That's his parting words to this woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, so she goes to the police and says this thing happened to her. And the officer says, are you sure you didn't have a bad dream?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
And then they went to her boyfriend because she was in a relationship at the time. And they said, is she an attention seeker?
An attention seeker.
Is she an attention seeker? The police wouldn't take this seriously because, again, it's very outlandish. And then, we hear this whole thing about Denise. I mean, just awful. She recounts just how she was sexually assaulted when she was 12. She blamed herself. She was ashamed. She later found out that the same person molested someone else, so she felt a lot of guilt. Then at 19, it happens again. She's with a group of friends, falls asleep on the couch, wakes up with a man touching her. She then decides, I'm going to go to the police this time. I'm going to report it. And then she goes to, an officer says, well, it's kind of a he said, she said thing. So, nah. And he talks her out of it.
I mean, as Gen Xers, this is the culture we grew up in.
Yes.
We were taught that a rape was always going to be a he said, she said. Mm-hmm. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And if you don't have bruises and marks all over your place, and if you don't find, if you don't fight back, then you wanted it in some way, shape, or form. So this is where Denise says, what needs to happen to any woman to be believed?
I thought that was a powerful line. She said, like, what needs to happen to me? Everything's happened to me.
Yeah.
She
maybe
literally
when I'm dead.
was taken, her body was taken out of her home and violated, and they still don't believe her.
So Misty says, okay, well, I'm struggling. I'm looking back into his past. Let me see about this white Mustang, the one she stole. It was stolen in Vallejo. And she's like, okay. She calls the owner and she says, hey, this has been involved in a home invasion. And then this is another hero of this. The owner of the car goes, hey, have you ever heard of the Mare Island Creeper? She's like, huh? So apparently back in 2014, a bunch of students were being harassed by a man who was looking in the windows on Mare Island and taking pictures of girls. Again, cops aren't doing anything about it. So the group, they take the matters into their own hands, and a couple of them follow this guy home, and they figure out where he lives, and that these kids figure out he lives on Mare Island, and he's an ex-military, and he's a lawyer. And she realizes, like, oh my God, the Mare Island creeper is Matthew Mueller. But again, the police never followed up on any of these leads. These kids took these things and matters into their own hands, gave the police all this information, didn't bother looking it up.
This is why, we have a saying over on my podcast, like, ladies of a certain age, we're just chilling on our couch solving murders. This is why we need to learn to solve our own murders.
Yes.
Because the cops aren't doing it. This specific police department isn't doing it. I'm sure there's plenty of good cops out there doing it, but these people are not. Colonel Mustard, piece of trash.
Yes. So in March of 2015, the creeping stops. Interesting, because that's about the time where this incident, the kidnapping of Denise happens. And the owner of the Mustang says, the creeping stopped in 2015, right around the time of the Gone Girl thing. And she's like, what? What Gone Girl? And so again, and we saw this with the, who am I thinking of? The California killer, what's his name? Oh, I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Stalker? Oh, no, the Golden State Parkway.
Golden State Killer.
Yeah,
Golden State Killer. The same thing.
State Parkway roadside killer.
Because he was up and down California committing horrendous crimes, killing people, raping women, and they could not tie him to anything.
Right.
And so this is another example of these, in Dublin, Dublin and Vallejo aren't 40 miles isn't that far away. And the Bay Area is big and it's sprawling, but the fact that she had never heard of or did, at all, the Gone Girl case.
I truly believe they need to do they need to hire one person who every week calls the surrounding police departments and tells them about cases they're stumped with or that are happening to see if there's any similarity.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Well, and that's the thing.
And it was all over the news. I mean, I'm surprised that she didn't see it on the news, but neither did we. So I don't know.
Yeah. So Misty hadn't heard of him, but again, she reads about this. Oh my God, there's Goggles, Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is in the oh my gosh, Huntington Beach is in the car.
GPS.
And the long blonde hair. And she looks and she sees Denise. Oh my God, she has blonde hair. So what does Misty do? She calls the Vallejo Police Department and gets no answer. And this is the part that's so bizarre, is she just calls and calls and calls and calls and calls. And does that mean that they don't ever pick up?
I know.
I was a little unclear on this.
Or is it a situation where they're like, oh, Colonel Mustard's busy. You know what I mean? And he can't come to the phone. Then get in your car and go down there.
Yeah. So then she finally gets someone after calling and calling and calling. And they say, okay, well, the case has been turned over to the FBI, to our friend David Sesma, who really, great FBI agent. And so she calls David Sesma and she says, hey, I have all this information. I want to tell you about it. And he says, well, we'll take a look at it. And she's like, wait a second, what is happening? What you're not doing anything. And at the same time, the Dublin police, they're pursuing their case of this home invasion, and they meet with the FBI about their case, and they see this gun with the laser, and they're like, oh my God, this is what's sent to the SF Chronicle. This is it. And the FBI finally realizes, oh my God, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Now, and so Doug gets a call, Doug Rappaport, he gets a call that the U.S. attorney calls him and says, a man is in custody connected to Denise and Aaron's case. And, we learn a little bit about him, that he's bipolar, Gulf War illness. He was an immigration attorney that got disbarred. We don't know exactly. And then Rappaport, he gets the affidavit of the case, which outlines what the police have done in their investigation. And he said they never investigated the kidnapping. They never did anything. They find out
could have at least dusted for fingerprints. In the house.
Or anything. Hold on, we're going to learn what they could have. The bare minimum of what they could have done, which is we find out Aaron's lie detector. It was unconclusive. Yeah. They also said in the report that there was no evidence of non-consensual sex. And then finally, what we learn is when Aaron was in the police station in the beginning of all of this, he told them, hey, the kidnappers, they're going to call me on my phone. They're going to call me and give me information about Denise on my phone. They put it on airplane mode.
Unbelievable.
They put it on airplane mode. And then it turns out that They didn't turn it on ever. They never turned it on. They didn't turn it on at once. Not one person looked at that phone. They found 2 missed calls. 2 missed calls. They could have easily traced that and traced it within 200 meters of the cabin from South Lake Tahoe, where Denise was being held.
Yep.
That's the bare minimum. What they had to do was leave a phone on and trace a call. That was it.
Yep.
So, and if they had monitored the phone, they could have saved Denise from the second rape.
Yeah.
This is so sick to my stomach. I mean,
it's so bizarre.
This was the part that was like, oh, so here's this press conference. And Aaron and Denise, they're very silent, they're stoic, silent, and Rappaport speaks for them and basically clears everything up, clears everything up and tells them the story. Here's my question. If I was Denise in that moment, I would want to get on those things and I would be like, every single one of you needs to, what's the apology from you, Henry Lee? What's the apology? Like, I would just want.
I would be like a total crazy person back there.
Yeah. I want you all to eat your words right now. And the fact that she just stood there and was just stoic, I would at least be giving them all the evil eye or something.
100%. I'd be screaming, Nancy Grace, come get me, come get me. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, unbelievable. But so in March in 2017, Mueller is being sentenced and Denise says that she faces him and she says, that's the moment in which I took my life back. Mueller got 40 years in prison. He was not charged with the Palo Alto or Mountain View or the Peeping Tom and Mare Island. And so the one thing that got me through all of this, because I knew this had a happy ending, was that that there was some happy endings. So the first one is in 2016, Denise and Aaron, they sue the city of Vallejo for defamation and settle for $2.5 million. I'm like, oh my God, they deserve $20 million. They deserve that. 10 times that. And again, they have to pay taxes on it. You got to pay the attorneys. I mean, you're basically clearing a little over $1 million. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. You destroyed these people's lives. I mean,
you destroyed these people's lives. And the fact that she was not murdered was just luck. It wasn't due to you.
Yeah.
But this guy, Mueller, I don't think he's really a murderer. I mean, I think he would have already killed someone. I think he gets off on this whole kidnap rape thing and deciding, well, I'm going to give you a break. I'm not going to rape you, but I'll rape this person. I mean, I don't know if he's really an actual killer. He's just sick.
Maybe he would have eventually gotten there. I don't know. Or maybe someone would have seen his face and he was like, oh God, I got to kill her now. I mean, he obviously spent a lot of time and energy thinking through all these things. And he is, listen, he did go to Harvard. He is clever. I mean, you got to give him some credit with some of these things. Like, the fact that they were sedated, the fact, all of these things helped play into that. So we learned a little fact about another piece of shit named, the chief of police in Vallejo, Andrew Diboudau, I don't fucking care, you Andrew, that we learned during the civil case that it came out about Andrew that before the national press conference, before when the officer Park came out and said that Aaron and Denise were liars, that the chief of police told Park to burn that bitch. So this is where we're at. You fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
He denies he says it.
I 100% believe that. I 100% believe that.
Yeah. And of course he denies it. So it's a little bit like,
Yeah.
So we then, this infuriated me. We learned that none of the officers involved were disciplined.
Nope.
Matt Mustard was awarded Officer of the Year 2015. This all happened in the same year. 2015, at the end of that year. This is the best you've got? Is Matt Mustard?
The guy who couldn't be bothered to solve this crime.
Yeah.
I need eyes on Matt Mustard now. Is he still there?
Yes.
So the people of Vallejo are in danger.
Well, but the other thing is they sued for defamation, but could they sue for other things? I feel like they're suing the city of Vallejo, which is the police department, right? But I guess you can't sue the media. It's right of free speech. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, this is it? I don't know. The $2.5 million was not enough for me at all. And that really upset me. Like, they need to be in a huge house right now, and spitting on Matt Mustard, any chance
on his picture every day.
Yeah. So at the end of 2017, Misty wanted to meet Aaron and Denise, and they called her a hero, which she is. And Denise, and Misty gets so so emotional throughout it. I can't imagine. And then at the end, we see that they end up getting married. They move to the coast. Well, I don't know what coast that is. And in March of 2020, they had a daughter, Olivia, and now they have another little baby named Naomi. And we end this by saying that Aaron hopes that his 2 daughters grow up to be just like their mom, just as strong and capable and amazing as their mother.
I was sobbing like bed shaking when I saw that part. Oh my God.
And that is an American nightmare. Welcome to being a female in this country. Hello. Any man that's out here listening to this, if you want to know what it's like to be a woman, this is it. And this is why women don't report things. This is why people end up in prison that shouldn't be in prison. This is why our system is broken. And I'm sorry, we all have biases. If you have a brain, you have bias. We all do. We all do. And why I would love to see something about like the Vallejo Police Department has reconfigured their entire thing. They're getting bias training. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's like, what lesson have you learned from any of this? It feels like nothing, no lesson. So,
well, and also, this story was so bizarre. It really struck me that like, God, stuff like this happens. And the only reason we know about it is because it was like a blonde white woman who it happens to. Like weird stuff like this happens to women all the time. Women just kind of disappear all the time. We don't hear about it. We don't know about it. And, it's kind
this
of
has been happening in indigenous communities for decades. Just women are disappearing.
They disappear.
Yep.
And when it happens to a white woman, it might get some attention. Or things go off the rails in the wrong direction. Like I kept thinking about the Scott Peterson case because he's back in the news because the Innocence Project, who is very reputable organization, has taken his case. And so I've kind of obsessively been like looking at there really are a lot of alternate theories, and it was completely circumstantial case, absolutely no physical evidence,
There's
DNA
no physical
evidence,
evidence,
nothing tying them. I mean, so yeah, like things just go sideways like all the time.
Well, and it's the media. It's the same thing. The media gets a hold of things. And then, Scott Peterson, listen, I don't know if he did it or not. I have no idea. I do think he was a piece of shit husband. We all know that.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here. 98% positive he did it.
And maybe, but there is also that 2%, right? And the problem is, and maybe this is why the Innocence Project has taken this on, is he did not get a fair trial.
No.
He didn't get a fair trial.
He didn't get a fair trial. I agree with that.
He was tried in the media just like these people were tried in the media. The media put out the narrative that this is a hoax and just went with it.
But I don't know if you could put the genie back in the bottle there. Like, how are we ever going to not be tried in the media when something like this happens?
Well, I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of feels like it's a response. Part of it is because we have 24-hour news cycles, and there's so much of it has been, news used to be Dan Rather, Walter Cronkite, kind of like, this is what's happening. And there were a couple channels. This is the thing.
Opinion passes for news now.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's entertainment. It's entertainment. It's got to be salacious. You got to keep people's eyes on, so they don't switch the channel. And it's wild.
Yeah.
I always feel like some of the major problems facing this country, we always have to litigate our way out of. And I think this might be one of them. Like, people need to start suing these fucking media outlets that are doing this stuff and find some way to do it. Like, yes, there's freedom of speech, but you can't be on television slandering somebody.
Yeah. Because the big argument with freedom of speech, right, is always you cannot yell fire in a crowded theater. And if there is no fire. So that's the problem. And these Nancy Grace and all of these other god-awful people are yelling fire constantly and fire. And then it turns out she's innocent, and there's no like, oops or sorry. Or did they ever get an apology from anybody? I would really want an apology. No. I would want you need to say this to me. Because I'm a very truthful person. I'm a rule follower. And the fact that someone would accuse me of not following the rules, of not being an ethical person, that would get under my skin more than anything. That is, especially if it's your view of how you see yourself in the world.
Well, yeah, and and they did sue for defamation, and we do have defamation laws, and the ex-president just got was found liable again for defamation. I mean, yeah, you can't just go around saying whatever you want to say with no basis in fact or reality, especially if you're a law enforcement agency. Why are they doing these press conferences? They have no obligation to talk to the media.
Yeah.
Why don't you investigate this first? Find out, what you think occurred. Then maybe you can hold a press conference.
But I feel like that's something that they can regulate, right? Like there could be a law that says you can't speak publicly about a case for 72 hours or, a week or whatever. Like we can build better checks and balances into our police departments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, there's such a tribe mentality in these police departments, and you need to have that one dissenting voice. So can we somehow build that in? Do you know what I mean? Almost like a thesis panel. Like I'm going to run this thesis past you guys.
Yeah.
And then your job is to punch holes in it or something. There's no critical thinking. There's just a tribe mentality. It's weird.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and this is also what happened in the Stephen Avery, Brandon Dassey case. Remember with Brandon Dassey? I mean, the Stephen Avery thing, that's another case that we were talking about covering because there's been more coming out about it.
Yeah,
but,
there's a new documentary about it.
Yeah. And so Brandon Dassey was, that one guy, what's his face, with a high voice like this?
Yeah.
What was his name?
I forget.
That prosecutor. He just came out and told the whole story to everyone with no evidence. It's just a tale that a kid said that he was coaxed into saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Did you see what was that murder in Boston? Did you see that?
No, that was something
Very
else we were thinking about covering.
Very
really?
similar. Yep. Rich white dude. Well, wealthy white dude. The story is that he's in this scary black neighborhood and somebody robs him and his pregnant wife, and it was not that at all. And but the cops thought it was that, and they terrorized the black community over it.
Yeah.
And it's real bad. And the way that they set up that documentary is really great because the whole first episode is like the history of racism within the Boston Police Department and city government. And then you see that come into play in episode 2, and then the resolution is 3. It's really good. I recommend it.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that.
Yeah,
it's good.
I don't know. I mean, this is just
we've said it all. We've said it all.
Have said it all, and I'm so angry and frustrated about all of this. It just pisses me off. But if we can say anything, believe women. Yes. Believe women when we say things to you, that we're not making this up. We're not attention seekers. Nobody wants this. And fuck you, police department. Yeah. Fuck you, Vallejo Police Department.
Do your job. It's like, God.
Fuck you, Colonel Mustard.
Yeah.
Laziness. Yes.
Yes. And Misty, you're a hero. I don't know why you're not on a plaque somewhere. You're not on our money.
She needs a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
She does. Misty deserves a hell of a lot more than what she got, because she really did. If it was not for her, I don't know where we would be.
That was her first case.
Yeah.
I mean, God, she's probably out there kicking ass. Hopefully she's been promoted and
let's hope. I mean, that's the thing. This is her first case. This is Mustard's 90 millionth case. And somehow she can figure it out better than you. So anyway, Lord. Well, we got to wrap it up. So thank you so much, Amy. Tell us about Little Miss Recap and where they can find it and all that good stuff.
So Little Miss Recap is over at littlemissrecap.com. And we're on any podcast streaming app, but we also are doing some videos. So we're on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And we're covering Sister Wives Rewatch on our Patreon. We're covering Single Life on our Patreon. And then on our main feed, we're doing Prison Brides. Are you guys watching that?
No,
it sounds
Prison
intriguing.
Brides and Married at First Sight.
So what is Prison Bride different than that other show, Love After Lockup?
Love After Lockup is a Matt Sharp joint. So Prison Brides is by a different production company. It's slightly classier.
Oh.
But it's different in the way that the people are coming. It's like a mashup of 90 Day and Love After Lockup, because the women who are in love with these prisoners are coming from abroad to America to marry these prisoners. Very interesting.
Interesting.
What channel is that on?
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Okay.
Lifetime television for women, right?
Yes. Stuff we love, Prison Brides.
Yep.
from overseas.
And thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to our podcast, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review. We always really appreciate it. And you can find us on social media at Psych Legal Pop on Instagram and TikTok. And, if you like this episode, share it. Share it with a friend. Share it with 10 friends. Spread the word of Psych Legal Pop and Little Miss Recap all
and
over.
leave some reviews, but 5 stars only.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't be like those haters out there who are, going online and just writing, you lying bitch.
I got a review that was 5 stars. It said, not funny. So, I like that review.
We got one of those too, where someone said, "Oh yeah, this is that our show's different, but we're not a humorous podcast. We're not funny, so it's better."
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it's 5 stars, you can say whatever you want. We can take it.
Thank you guys
All right.
for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you. All right, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.